Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Live. Please give it up in the chat for your hosts, Nicolina and Marie.
Hi,
Hey, everyone.
how's it going?
So happy to see your face here.
Yeah, long time no see. Welcome to Paranormal, everyone.
I'm Marie.
And I'm Nicolina, as some of you probably know. And
do you want me to go? Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
This is our first ever live Hometown Haunts episode. So welcome and thank you everyone for joining us. Usually on Hometown Haunt episodes, we typically read guest submitted stories, or we'll have a guest on to share their experiences with us. And tonight, you guys are in luck because we have a really special guest with us today. We have PAULSON, who is a paranormal investigator. She's also known by the social handle at Pretty Effin' Spooky, and we are super effin' excited to have her here. So if everyone could please welcome Amanda to our show.
Welcome, Amanda.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we haven't done a live show since pre-COVID, and we actually haven't done a virtual one yet. So frankly, we're pretty nervous. So bear with us right now. But we're super excited to have you. And we did come prepared with a buttload of questions to get things going. But before we get into the thick of things, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and what Pretty Effin' Spooky is all about?
So my name is Amanda. I'm in Spokane, Washington. I'm a paranormal investigator, just a solo investigator, and Pretty Effin' Spooky is my blog, essentially, just to share anything and everything that I find spooky. I kind of combine the paranormal with alien and Sasquatch and all sorts of stuff, witch stuff, all of it, and it is all pretty effing spooky. But I myself, Amanda, am a solo investigator in Spokane, Washington.
Ooh, nice.
Perfect. Yeah. Marie?
Yeah, no, so we obviously just want to thank you for coming on to the show. We have some questions for you. So did you want to just dive right into those?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Go for it.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Oh, you already asked that.
I already did that. I just did that one.
How embarrassing. That's fine. I think I got the names screwed up on the questions. Anyway, what sparked your interest in the paranormal?
So I lived in a haunted duplex when I was about 8 years old. I experienced things moving on their own. I had weird dreams. I just kind of was, I guess, predisposed to the spooky life really early on at 8 years old. And then when I turned 18 in 2008, I don't care that I'm aging myself, but in 2008, I joined a ghost hunting team. Like a lot of other people, I had watched Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, and I wanted to kind of get my hand at investigating myself and kind of understand the experiences I had as a child. And then fast forward to now, being a solo investigator, I am still kind of searching for answers as to why I lived in a haunted house, essentially, and had a myriad of paranormal experiences throughout my life.
Right.
Nice.
Now, I guess you kind of answered the question, how long you've been doing paranormal investigations. You said since you were 18 years old. I don't want to give your age away or anything by saying how many years that was, but feel free, I mean, probably, a few years now you've been doing paranormal investigations.
Yeah, I don't care at all. So I'm 31 now, so I've been investigating for, I guess I'm going on 13 years, but wow. But it's ebbed and flowed, and I haven't investigated that entire time.
Right.
But yeah, so since I was 18, I'm 31 now. So
nice.
Sweet. So what drives your passion for the paranormal and doing work in this field?
What drives my passion? Well, that's kind of a complex question, I'd say. Because, there's a lot of reasons why people are interested in the paranormal. just as there are a lot of reasons why people are spiritual or have a certain religion, there's a lot of questions that we may never find answers to that I am trying to answer myself. And I kind of like, this is going to get really heavy really quick, but I like to tell people that I'm kind of trying to come to terms with my own mortality and understand a little bit more, in hopes that there is more after this plane of life. So, I come from kind of a more selfish standpoint in that I'm trying to find validating experiences and things that'll help me understand death and life and all those big things. But in the meantime, I'm also trying to foster a community of people online who are also looking for answers to their own questions and kind of bounce ideas around and other things like that. So I'm not just in it for myself, but primarily I'd say I'm looking for answers to those questions.
I feel that's probably a big trend for people who are driven in this field. I feel like that's, I mean, if it's not the primary reason, it's definitely one of the reasons why they're interested in the paranormal. I know growing up and even, when I've experienced death in my family, I think there's always been that kind of resurgence of wanting or believing or experiencing things, and suddenly there's just like a momentum towards like, is there life after death? Is there something beyond us? So yeah, I think that's a really important reason to investigate.
I think it's also brings a lot of comfort to know, or to, I guess, explore if this is all that there is, or if there is something else after this is over, right? So
yeah. So do you do any, I guess I wrote this question without even really knowing for sure. Do you do any investigations on behalf of others? So do people call you and ask you to come see if their home is haunted? Is that something that you participate in? And if so, can you walk us through that investigation process?
Yeah. So when I was in a team a while back in 2008, our team did that. We did house calls. We went places that people, asked us to go to kind of try to solve some sort of mystery or like clean it out or whatever, however you perceive that to go.
Yeah.
But I tried to get back into that a couple of years ago about doing, I put my information out there. I was like, I will happily come and investigate your home or your business if you need me to. I've only had a couple people really take me up on that, which is interesting. People aren't as, eager to do that now as they used to be. And I don't know, part of that's COVID. I guess a year of that has been me not going anywhere. So, but yeah, I don't do it so much anymore because I had to kind of have a talk with my ego and understand why I'm really doing this. It kind of started to become apparent that it's not so much about other people for me, harsh as that sounds. So I've stepped back from it a little bit just because I don't want to be disingenuous and going out there hunting other people's ghosts, thinking I'm the shit, or I don't know if I can curse, but
yeah, you can.
You can.
We got an explicit content rating. Go for it.
Yeah. But when I was younger on that team, we used to go to houses and we'd have to take base readings. You have to do a lot of stuff that involves understanding what could possibly be a normal explanation before you get into anything paranormal.
Right.
Including understanding if there's any kind of psychological element to it. And so it's not so much what I'm into now. Now I'm kind of thrill seeking, sort of doing a lot more deep dives into occult literature and study and veering away from the investigating other people's ghosts. And I also don't really hold the belief that I think all ghosts should be cleared out. Like a lot of people want you to come and get rid of it and cleanse the area or whatever. I personally believe that we should try to learn how to live amongst phenomena or amongst supernatural energies, and I think that we could come to a more holistic way of being if we could learn to live with it. And a lot of people don't want that. They just want it gone. So that's my take on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were doing the investigations for people who would call and ask you and the group to come out to do investigation, what kinds of vetting questions would you ask them before you went there to determine if this was a legitimate haunting or if it was going to be a waste of time, things like that?
Oh, I'm digging into my memory here. My old team was great because we had like these templates and like actual worksheets and things that we would fill out, and I had a notebook and everything.
Wow.
But as far as I'm less like that now. I still hold some of those habits, but it's more like run and gun kind of thing now. But vetting questions, I think some of the most important vetting questions would be really personal questions. And if they're already asking you to come into their home and they're having these experiences, hopefully they'd be willing to answer some of these things. But kind of, I'm trying to figure out where to go with this, but like where is your family at right now? Where you want to kind of get a feel for where they are at psychologically.
Right,
are you going through anything right now? Have you experienced these things in the past? Kind of come to the root of it. There's also the possibility that those people could be experiencing carbon monoxide or
yeah, that's a big one. Yeah,
black mold or whatever. And then furthermore, there's potential that when you're going into someone's home that they could be going through divorce or somebody's going through puberty or whatever, and there's just like a heightened human energy going on, which can haunt a place certainly, but it's not the kind of it's not going to be a ghost that you're looking for. You're kind of just an amalgamation of energy at that point.
That makes sense.
So interesting.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I guess switching gears, I mean, besides going to people's homes, in your personal investigations, what's the most scared you've ever been during an investigation? Before this, we were just talking, you went to the Lizzie Borden house. I don't know if that was one of your scariest ones, but feel free to share as many as you'd like, because we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so my answer to this question used to be a abandoned farmhouse that I investigated in California with a couple guys. I know the New Reality is what their team is called. And I saw a full-fledged shadow figure there. It was very shocking for me. Nothing really physical happened to me, but the visual of seeing an actual figure on the other side of the room, it came through 2 rooms and set up equipment on its way towards us, which I've never experienced that before. So that was quite shocking. But what trumped that experience was the Lizzie Borden house, which is now the scariest shit I've ever put myself through. It was
I'm so afraid.
Honestly, it was kind of awful, but I'm like glad that I can talk about it now. It's a cool story. In the moment, I was very, very scared. I had the house to myself, completely alone, no employees or anybody else. And I thought I could do it. And just the whole thing, just being in the house, and then it was legitimately active. I heard somebody walking around in the house and upstairs all night. It really, really scared me. And I actually ended up sleeping in my car at like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who investigates those things, I can't, if you're leaving, I can't imagine any of us ever sticking around. Like we would be shitting our pants. Like I'd be out. I would not even sleep in the car. I'd be driving far, far away.
I'd be going home. I with like my rosary beads like clenched in my fist.
I definitely underestimated how scary that would be. Well, I didn't really know I was going to be alone. I didn't intend on it to go that way. But I did find out a little bit ahead of time that I'd be alone. And my first reaction was excitement. And I thought it was so badass. And I was like, I'm going to film a YouTube video and like TikTok, and it's going to be killer content, whatever. Like my head was not in the right space at all. And I went in and I just kept thinking, I was like, one other person could make this so much better.
I
am terrified. Yeah, I couldn't even leave my room. I had to hype myself up by doing Instagram Live, which I'm not even somebody who does Instagram Live very often, but I was on Instagram Live for a total of like 3 hours because I didn't want to be alone or like quiet in that place at any given time. I have no
you
idea
just wanted
what's
some
going
company.
Yeah, that house is crazy. I have no idea what's going on in there. It's like, it's insane to me that it's still that haunted years down the road. It's nuts.
Yes, Lizzie Borden is the one that killed her father and her stepmother with a hatchet, or they say that she did. We have an episode about it as well. Probably about 20 episodes ago or so.
Yeah, a while ago, but yeah.
Do you? I have a follow-up question to that, just about the Lizzie Borden house. I mean, you said you don't really know what's going on. Did you feel like it was a female energy around, or no? It was like masculine,
it felt male, and I have no idea why. I tell people a lot, I'm not psychic, or if I am, I don't know I am yet. Like, I don't know I don't know if I have any spiritual gifts, but I'm not a psychic medium. I didn't go into that place being like, so-and-so is here and wants to talk. Like, I have no idea. But for some reason, it felt male, and it felt like really like I shouldn't be there. Like, for some reason, and I don't know if this is my subconscious and how I felt, or if this was some kind of message that I was receiving, but I kept feeling like it looked at me like, the audacity you have to be here alone. You think we can't, like, it felt because
we can't fuck you up.
Yeah, it was so weird. And there was activity going on in my room even too, and that was too much. I was like, God, I have nowhere to go. Like, I have nowhere to escape.
Gosh.
And you're supposed to like leave a penny for the dad, apparently, in one of the rooms. You're supposed to leave like a little offering, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna leave an offering for you. I don't know why, but I was like, that's
sorry.
And so I feel like that might have added to it, because I definitely was like not respecting them. Like, I wasn't like yelling at anything. It was just I went into it thinking content and like whatever, and then I came out of it being like so scared. It was a humbling experience. For sure.
No.
Well, they say that the father was abusive and like was just like not a nice guy. So I mean, I can understand where that energy may have come from there.
Yeah, it was weird.
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
No, Amanda, you continue.
I already forgot.
She forgot. Go for it, Marie.
I was just gonna say, in the episode that we did, I'm pretty sure there was an EVP of the dad. That they think it was the dad that they caught.
And wasn't he being a jerk, like in the EVP? Like, he was being
can't remember. I
think he was being a dick. Yeah, like he wasn't a nice dude. Yeah,
from what I'm vaguely remembering now, I think somebody asked, "Did your daughter do this?" And he said something like, "No doubt about it," or something like that.
Right.
I don't think he was being, but regardless, do you think that would that be your most memorable paranormal experience that you've had?
Yeah.
Or is your haunted house when you were a kid like super memorable too?
Or the first one at the barn?
Well, memorable and like life-changing experience would be, I had like a really long bout of sleep paralysis, like a decade of like having really intense sleep paralysis that kind of was a catalyst for other very, very bizarre things to happen, which I couldn't really condense into a story. But I'd say my experience with sleep paralysis is my most memorable. But as far as like actually trying to investigate a place, Lizzie Borden house is by far the like most crazy, like the activity that was there, the footsteps I heard walking around, and I was seeing things with I was like seeing like dots of light. It was very bizarre. So Lizzie Borden's house was just like the craziest like actual activity on an investigation, for sure.
Wow.
Is there a bucket list haunt that you haven't done yet, or like a place you dream of investigating?
There's a lot of places I still haven't been in the States. Lots of famous places that I'd love to check off my list, like Trans-Allegheny and Eastern State.
I just did that last episode.
Nice.
We just did it. It seems, we did Lily. Like, we talked about Lily, like the girl. She is like the little girl who kind of haunts the place, but she's more of a positive kind of a a good energy, and people just like chill with her and throw like balls around with her and flashlights turn on and off. So yeah, you might actually not mind going there alone. I don't know.
Yeah. Big places like that are super interesting too, because I tend to believe that maybe it's more of an egregore. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the idea of like a thought form haunting a place, or like, you know, you see it a lot when a lot of ghost hunters keep going to a place and feeding energy into
Right.
it and kind of create the haunting that they're looking for.
Sure.
So I think it'd be really, really interesting to go to some famous places under the assumption that you're maybe looking at egregore versus an actual spirit. So like I said, I have a lot of places on my bucket list still in the States. And then overseas, I want to go to the catacombs really bad.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
But super dangerous and like probably not gonna happen. But I'm just curious to know what kind of energy's down there. I don't know if anyone's ghost hunted down there, but
I bet
haunted.
somebody has to. Yeah.
There was a movie that came out about the catacombs, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was like a
movie?
Hollywood movie.
And the room just kept getting more narrow, and I was like, "Oh, my claustrophobia could never, like, ever."
Yeah.
No.
That's like one of my favorite movies. As Above, So Below is what it's called.
That's it. Yes.
Yes.
Super
It's
good.
freaky
Super
as
good movie.
fuck.
I
Yeah.
should watch it then. I do like horror movies, but I have not that.
I couldn't watch though. Like when they were being like I was feeling claustrophobic watching that. Like it was not that's not for me. I could not go there. So good for you if you would adventure.
We're gonna switch gears again here. This is kind of a funny question. Question. A few episodes ago, we did an episode on women who fell in love with and had physical and romantic relationships with spirits. Do you think that people can have sex with ghosts? Sorry.
So
have you ever had sex with a ghost? No.
No, I didn't ask that.
No, I'm just kidding.
So I'll approach this first by saying that this is just my personal experience and like opinion, because I don't want to, I don't know, like make other people's experiences invalid. I don't know what other people have experienced. In my experience, I have never seen that or had that happen to me, and I find it difficult to believe. But there's a lot of historical accounts of things like that happening. And there's some people who are very convinced that it has. So I don't know. I also approach investigating from a less religious standpoint. And I don't personally quite believe in like demonic entities or, you know, good and evil or demons, angels, whatever. Not so much into that, and a lot of other people feel very, very strongly about that. And that I think is when you get into, what would it be, succubus, or I don't know the term for the demons that have sex with you. I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have to look it up. If anyone knows in the watching, let us know in the comments.
So people, I think that people who are talking about that or experiencing that are maybe coming from a more religious standpoint on it in those terms. But I've never seen it. I don't know. That's my answer. I've never heard of it from anyone I know. So
this is the best comment. I had sex with the spirit, it would ghost me after.
Good one.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair answer.
Yes,
I feel like
answer.
I mean, it was fun to obviously look into those experiences. Some were a little bit more far-fetched than others, like the one woman who claimed that ghosts could also get COVID.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was weird. But I mean, her boyfriend, who was a ghost, was telling her that he could get COVID. And he was drinking and partying all night, so the relationship ended. But yeah.
It's unfortunate.
That's really that's really interesting. I wonder if that is more along the lines of like Tulpa, like she created this. That kind of gets into like I don't know how to say this correctly, but it makes me think of imaginary friends being more than imaginary friends and kind of turning into an actual
Right.
ghost. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, people can inject their energy and their thought into these things, and it can create a lot more than we understand. And our minds are really powerful. So that's why I'm careful to say, you know, it might not be real in my reality, while still being very real in somebody else's reality. And I respect that.
Yeah, that's
fair.
That's fair. So, I mean, along those lines, how do you feel about skeptics in the paranormal kind of well, not in the community, but those who kind of say what you're doing really isn't a real thing? Have you ever convinced anyone that once never believed, now does believe in paranormal activity?
So I'm actually more of a skeptic than a lot of people in this field. And I actually was just having a conversation with a friend recently and made a joke like, how do you believe in all of this all the time? I really have a hard time believing myself sometimes. And it's been kind of a journey for me to trust my own experiences and to really lean into the phenomena. Because when you lean into it, then more happens and you kind of unveil yourself to it.
Sure.
Sure. And I have difficulty with that. But other people who are more skeptical, my family, I would say, is more skeptical. I don't know. I am lucky. People have been really respectful towards me and being into this kind of stuff. And also, I think after 2020, people are a lot more open to stuff that maybe they weren't before. So I've been online for about 2.5 years. I think I got online at a really great time where people were a little bit more open to it versus versus 12 years ago. I didn't tell anyone I was ghost hunting. I was kind of ashamed of it. So it's changed a lot. I think I'd like to say I turned my boyfriend into a believer because I've brought some things in our house here and there, and he'll be like, something moved. Yeah, he's like, something moved or like something fell, and like I don't really. He's like, I just didn't even go there with it, and I can tell the gears are turning for him. And he's like,
Yeah, I'm also chipping away at that too. I feel like that's happening. He's in the other room and he's watching this, and he's definitely like he's done that. Like, yeah, I had him on the podcast, and he's like, that didn't happen. No, didn't really happen. And I was like, I heard this thing, and I was like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say, Josh in the chat told us that the spirit that has sex with humans.
Talk about succubus.
Okay.
I don't.
Succubus. It is succubus.
That's what it's called. Okay. Thank you, Josh.
That's an interest. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that. So I'm sorry if you guys hear my black cat meowing in the background. I think we're letting out some energy here for him. He's like running around like a crazy thing. So we listened to an episode of you on the Spooky Stuff podcast, and there was a topic around the lack of representation in the media for female paranormal professionals. Why do you think that is? And do you think we're heading towards a shift in that, given the rise of social media influencers? And also in that respect, do you think that social media influencers in the paranormal community is a good thing? Sorry, that's like three questions in one. You can break them down.
So first, lack of representation in the media for female paranormal professionals. Why do you think that that's such an issue?
Sure. So yeah, this stuff all does kind of like flow together. So I think I can answer all of this in one go, but
sure.
So, I mean, the lack of female representation, I believe, began when paranormal media first became popular with like the original Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, especially. So, and media, especially at that time when television was so popular and we were just entering the digital age of like social media and stuff. So that does affect people's perception of things, and I think it created this male dominant field with Zach Bagans like heading it, and and also they took a over masculine approach to investigating as well, with yelling and running and, you know,
Yeah.
like aggravating.
I'm gonna
the
fuck you up,
spirits.
demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just kind of like exudes masculine, the typical masculine energy. And
Yeah.
so I think that's where the lack of representation for females began. It has gotten better over time, again, with paranormal media highlighting strong female hosts, like you see on Kindred Spirits with Amy Bruni and Katrina Weidman, I don't know what her last name is, on shows. Whatever. Anyway, there's female ghost hunters out there now in media that are helping. And then, like you said, with social media, it kind of allows us to take the narrative and you know, create our own narrative. Social media is so powerful in that it's just so different. It's not, we're not just looking to TV personalities as
Right.
what to aspire to, especially how social media has opened up different career paths. And like, the ultimate goal is no longer being on TV. It can be a multitude of other things. So
like a podcast.
Exactly. There's so many
Yeah.
so many different ways that you can you know, excel in your hobby, in ghost hunting or whatever. And so it gives us a little bit more control as females to kind of make our way forward. But as far as like, do I think social media for like the paranormal field is good? Yeah, I do. I am a huge proponent of the positive side of social media. I think it, like I said, I just think it gives people a lot of opportunity. And I don't know, it's just, I think it's super important to be able to foster communities and things like that. Obviously, you're going to get people online who got like armchair, what am I trying to say? Experts or whatever. Like you're going to, the internet is the internet, and these problems are in every field or hobby that there is. And when you control the narrative, you can go online and you can say, I'm the expert. I know exactly what I'm talking about. There is no other answer. You see this a lot on TikTok with witch talk and haunted TikTok, and people who speak from authority who maybe don't have that authority and just decided to play that role. That's too bad. I mean, but that's just like always going to happen. So I'm kind of more lackadaisical about it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's always going to be a bad side to it, but overall, I think it's really good. To circle back around to my point, I do think that social media is really, really good for the paranormal field. And I think it's going to bring it to the forefront of even non-believers, and hopefully create a more understanding and like accepting energy around the field.
Well, I think that even has happened recently, very recently, around astrology and social media. Like, I feel that whole community has just blown up, myself included in that. I mean, it was something that I thought about when I was like 9 and then never thought about it again. And because I just didn't think that it was real. And then so many people who have, you know, gone to school for 4 years to study this stuff are now able to kind of say, no, there's actually some accuracy and scientific evidence to this stuff. Like there's real facts and data to back it up. And so I think that that's probably happening as much as it has with the astrological community. It can happen with the paranormal one as well. So in your opinion, in your expert opinion, where would you recommend an amateur paranormal investigator conduct their first investigation if they were to do something like that?
Let's see, where?
So I mean, maybe it's not where, maybe it's how, maybe it's, you know, what steps they should take in preparing themselves. But yeah.
No, yeah, I like the where question. Because that's actually an important question, because you know, you don't want to just encourage like new investigators to go break into an abandoned building and like investigate it. So that's a good question. You can always start at the cemetery. I know a lot of people who love investigating the cemetery. I don't necessarily believe myself that it's all cemeteries are haunted in the traditional sense, but I think it kind of gives you a closeness to the other side that maybe opens up communication with the other. So, or you can just go send it home too. I mean, this depends on who you live with and where you live, and if they're okay with that, because there are some risks that come with communicating with the other side. You could, I mean, I don't think that you can invite anything in unless you truly just do it yourself. I mean, with Ouija boards and people thinking Ouija boards are evil, I think that's just because you sit there and you say anybody that wants to come through can come through, just literally anything. So don't do that. I mean, maybe try to communicate with somebody in particular, but I think that ghosts, I like to think that ghosts aren't always tied to the location that they're at. That, you know, there's this other side that's just right here with us that we just have to kind of open a window to. Yeah. So start at home or start in a cemetery if your home doesn't want you to do it there.
That's fair.
I'm definitely one of the people who's afraid to use a Ouija board only because I don't have confidence in my abilities to not bring to do something stupid with it. I don't know. So. Sure.
That's fair. And if you know that about yourself, then you're probably right. And you probably would just be the one who would haunt the shit out of your house with a Ouija board.
100%. Yeah. It's already happened, so we're good. We've got 2 questions in the chat. We'll just jump to really quickly and then we'll get back to ours. So Tina asked, have you ever contacted a spirit that you knew when they were living?
In a traditional like ghost hunting sense, no. Okay. I am also I have spiritual practice. I do a lot of meditating and like astral work as well, that I don't talk a lot about online because I don't want to come from a point of like, I don't want to teach people. I don't think it's something I have authority on to teach people, but I do believe that I have contacted relatives on my own in a spiritual sense. So that's very different, but I've never like, well, okay, I take that back. Rewind. One time, right soon after my grandpa died a few years ago, I didn't talk with him or anything in the afterlife, but I did have some experiences as I was staying at my grandparents' house, where his alarm clock, for some reason, like we had talked the night before about getting up the next morning at a certain time, and then we all kind of passed out and forgot. His alarm clock was set for the time that we talked about getting up the next day, even though we didn't touch it. And I remember I came upstairs and I was like, what the hell is going on? Because it was going off forever. And I go into my grandma's room and I was like, are you okay? Why didn't you turn this off? And she's laying there with her eyes open. You could tell kind of just contemplating getting up or not. And I always look back at that as like, oh, I think you've been experiencing some stuff like this and just didn't want to go there. And then I later ended up having a dream where I like saw him in it as well. So like I've kind of communicated with a family member. I've been very lucky though too to not have to experience much death in my life so far. Very, very lucky. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandma's still here, and my grandpa was the first major death I experienced. So that also just comes from inexperience in losing loved ones or people I knew in life. For sure. Yeah, lucky me.
Josh Hunt asked, do you have spirit boxes?
Yeah, I do. I have a ton of spirit boxes.
Hell yeah, I do.
What? I'm sorry. I don't know what spirit boxes are, and that probably makes me a complete noob, but please, can you tell me what those are and what they include?
I'll explain it. Okay. So I have a SB7 spirit box, which is a little black box, and it basically plays AM and FM. It's essentially a radio.
Oh, okay.
But it has the ability to sweep through the stations at an accelerated rate. So you can either sweep forward, you can change the settings for how fast it sweeps. You can sweep forward or you can sweep backwards. because it's sweeping backwards doesn't mean it's giving you words backwards. It's just sweeping through the stations backwards, not forwards. But there's also like apps like the Necrophonic app, a little bit different, not quite like a spirit box that plays feedback in the app. I'm not so down with apps, so I don't have that, so I don't know why I'm mentioning that. But I also have an S box, which is just a different brand of spirit box as well. They have no microphone. I see that question.
Thank you.
So they don't have a microphone. You connect a speaker to it, but I happen to love using it in the Estes method, which is using sensory deprivation while playing the radio feedback in headphones, so that you can't hear the person asking questions. So it removes some of that personal bias, because when you're just playing a spirit box out for everyone, and you're in a haunted hospital and you know there's a little girl, you're going to listen for things. Your brain is going to want to hear things that make sense. But if you're playing the feedback in your in noise isolating headphones with a blindfold on, so you have no idea what's going on around you, and you just say whatever you hear,
right?
Then if you end up answering the question that somebody else is asking, that's super
it
compelling.
Validates it way more. Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
I love that. Okay, we'll switch back to our questions and then we'll go back to the chat some more. Why do you think that human beings, I think we've already answered this, but we'll get back into it again.
Yeah.
Do you want to skip past it?
We'll ask it. Maybe there's something new that will come from it, but you can go
Why
ahead.
do you think living people, humans, us, are so obsessed with ghosts or spirits?
Probably, I don't know why the collective is so obsessed. I think there's different answers for everyone. Overall, I think either you're obsessed because you want validation for something unexplained that happened in your life, or a lot of people may be like me in that they really want there to be more to life than what is on the surface level. Whether that means we want to know what comes after life, or we just want there to be more meaning to life, like a more fantasy element, I think that like life would be super boring if I just took it for face value, and it'd be kind of depressing. So it's like, I think that there's a lot of other people who get into the field for kind of some reason like that, like they just need there to be more, or they're trying to validate an experience. Yeah,
that's fair. I think so. There was you back to the spirit box. You did the spirit box with the haunted doll. Do you want to? Is that something that you did? Sorry, can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So my friend and I shared a haunted doll. I think this is what you're talking about. My friend and I, she's in Ohio, I'm in Washington State. So she had the haunted doll, and then I had the haunted doll, and then we did the Estes method.
Okay.
With one of us having the haunted doll, and we did it over Zoom or Skype or whatever. And it worked still.
Wow.
It's super interesting. Which means like space or like distance didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
More about like a really pointed intent, and I think she had the doll at the time we did that. But I mean, it worked. It was weird too. We were using techniques like, at one point I was like, how many fingers am I holding up? Which is weird, like a weird ghost hunting tactic, because there wasn't any answer to get from that really that meant anything. It was just like, can you see this? Like, can ghosts perceive me like a human does? And she said 3 or whatever it was. She answered at the right time too.
Correctly.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you discover that this doll was haunted?
How did you acquire it? How did you discover? I'm interested in that.
eBay. But
okay.
We went into
That's a hot market. I've read articles about this. Like,
don't just go spending a bunch of money on
I know.
Because it's such a hack. We fully expected there to not be anything happen. Plus, we sought out a cheaper doll. I think we spent like $25 or something. Or not even that. I think it was less than that. So we were trying really hard to find somebody who really wanted to get rid of something. That
Got
seemed
it.
to make more sense. But
That does
yeah,
make
eBay said it.
sense.
Yeah. And we told each other, we're like, nothing happens, then we'll just scratch the whole thing. We won't
Yeah.
post it, like whatever.
Sure.
And it like totally was haunted. It was crazy. That I've never had a haunted object until that, but it was weird.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's wild. So I mean, my second last question, really, I guess we're reaching close to the end of this, but who in the paranormal community do you think we should have on this podcast? It could be like, it's a question of, if you could sit down at a table with anybody in the paranormal community, who would it be and why?
I would say, there's some people that I've had the opportunity to chat very briefly with, and I felt lucky for it. But I think that you should look more into people into occult studies. The people who are doing the academic research behind ghost hunting. There's a lot of value to people like me too. I'm kind of in a transitionary phase, trying to blend it all together and to learn a lot more about the field. But there's somebody named John E.L. Tenney who is very well known in the field, a ghost hunter, a UFO guy, very well researched academic. He's great. Also, if you guys haven't seen it yet, I would look into the show Hellier. And the people who are a part of the show Hellier. That's a documentary series on Amazon and YouTube. Those people are doing a lot of great work for the paranormal field in kind of bringing to the forefront the theories of interconnectedness between phenomena. So cryptids, UFOs, fairy, spiritual, ghost, whatever, all of it kind of mixed in one. So I would say don't be afraid to get into the really weird little parts of the paranormal field, and it'll really like open your mind to a lot.
Awesome.
Awesome. So we have another question in the chat, Marie.
We've got a couple. Yeah, we've got a couple. So DKNJ44 asks, which location was the most haunted that you've investigated?
I guess Lizzie Borden's probably maybe the answer, but if there's another one.
Lizzie Borden for sure. This is a long time ago, so I have no video of it online, but Idaho State Penitentiary, the old Idaho State Penitentiary, that was on Ghost Adventures at one point. That place was pretty active and creepy. And what else? Waverly Hills actually was pretty active too.
Done that we did that one too. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would die to go there. Not literally. I would just love to go there.
It was cool. You know, Waverly Hills was interesting. It wasn't scary.
Yeah.
But it was active. It was weird in there.
That's the kind of investigation I'd like to do. Don't scare me, but show me something.
Yeah.
That's how I felt it was. It didn't feel scary to me. It just felt strange and like confusing. But I also went to the Conjuring House, or the from the
wow.
And that wasn't as active with ghosts, but it did create like a really, really weird portal type vibe, or like a vortex. It was very strange. So that also was pretty crazy.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, because there's that whole The Conjuring House wasn't, I mean, didn't they prove that those girls were making a lot of it up or trying to make it up? So it's just, but there's still so many things that happen that are unexplained. So there's always a big question mark around that one.
Yeah, there's a big question mark around a lot of things that the Warrens investigated.
Yes.
We
got a lot of backlash on our Warrens episode because it's probably our most listened to, but we were also kind of like, well,
we did it from both sides. We did. Like, you know, evidence and then what the skeptics were saying. So we did both sides, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
the Conjuring House though, it was weird. It wasn't haunted in a traditional sense, but there was like definitely weird other vibes going on, like with the land or something there.
That has always interested me a lot. portals I'm very interested in.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot on that.
No. Red J Way asks, what has been the happiest or most fun investigation that you did?
I like that question.
Me too.
Yeah.
Waverly Hills, I think, because I got to meet a bunch of internet friends for the first time, and that
sounds
probably
like fun.
that probably has to do with why I wasn't scared too. I do think that our human energy can affect like outwardly what we experience. So I was like having a great time meeting internet friends at Waverly Hills. So it was super fun. A bunch of really experienced investigators too. So I trusted everyone that I was with. There was like 5 of us or something. Yeah, it was great.
That sounds awesome. So I've got just a couple more questions for you here. So my one question was, I sent it not in that list of them. Okay.
No,
so without naming names, you don't have to specifically say anybody's name. Have you ever come across work that you find damaging to the paranormal investigation community? And can you maybe talk about the work that was damaging? You, again, do not have to name anyone's names.
Yeah. So I have seen people try to use really traumatic events as fodder for like ghost hunting or paranormal videos, YouTube content, whatever. And also very recent traumatic events too, like shootings and stuff that we're still like processing as alive humans and
yeah.
And also like things like that have living family members. And when you have like any kind of mass death, there's no way you're going to get a hold of everyone who's attached to that and make sure that they're okay with you investigating something like that. So unfortunately, I have seen people, a good big example, not what I'm talking about in particular, but a good example is the Cecil Hotel and a lot of the attention around that.
Right.
And so I think that while I know some good people who have investigated the Cecil Hotel, I don't necessarily agree with it just because it's so recent, and that especially has a lot to do, I think, with mental health and some topics that ghost hunters don't have authority on.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
1000%.
That Netflix series was problematic with some of the people that were coming in and trying to prove something that really just wasn't what it was, because it was like probably like 3 or 4 episodes in, I was like, I know what is happening here because I've experienced someone with mental illness like this, and I could see the telltale signs that this girl, obviously, when talking about that Netflix special, and her name's like leaving me right now, but the girl who ended up falling,
Elisa Lam,
falling into the water tank, and then and I was like, those characteristics that she's showing are very indicative of an episode, like a psychotic break. And then these people from like YouTube and things like that were just coming in and saying, no, like there's got to be something paranormal here. And it was detrimental to the investigation. And I cannot imagine how detrimental it was to her family as well. Dealing with the death of a daughter, and, you know, they're just trying to figure out really what happened to her, and people are chalking it up to something, either a homicide or something paranormal happened.
Yeah. Well, and I'll play a little bit of a devil's advocate on this and say, I think it is okay and normal for people to question or to have questions about that and to wonder. And I mean, I would be stupid to tell people to close off that curiosity, because there are a lot of really, really weird things that happen on this world and on this earth. And but I don't think that it should be used as content. You get into really muddy water when you're using it for entertainment purposes, and furthermore, when you're monetizing it or earning off of it. So you have to be careful how you approach that. I think that if you're really curious about a case like Elisa Lam, or maybe a mass shooting or some kind of traumatic event, and you are curious about paranormal activity surrounding that, do your own research in your private time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
talk with other people, you know, in private, but maybe think before you create content out of tragedy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was a hot button issue with me recently, was this crossover between the true crime community and the paranormal community, which are both like super big interests of mine. But when I started seeing these creators on YouTube reaching out to family members who have lost their loved ones, saying, oh, I got a message from your loved one who is still missing, who we know is dead, but can't find their body. Look over here for it. And there's nothing there. It's just like, man, like these are real people with real feelings going through a real tragedy. And these are sometimes in some cases, open investigations that you could be harming. Like that was, yeah. I agree with you. Things that are recent, and that is my other hot button issue with that.
Web sleuth culture, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes those web sleuths do solve crimes.
Don't fuck with cats, right?
Like Michelle McNamara, don't fuck with cats. They solved real crimes, but specifically, I can think of one specific. I don't know the YouTuber's name, and I wouldn't give them the opportunity to say their name anyway, who was reaching out to a girl named Sarah Turney, who started a podcast and gained a lot of traction about her sister who had gone missing, and who she believed that her father was the one who murdered her sister. So this YouTuber started putting out YouTube videos saying, oh, I got another message from Melissa today. I got a message, like, and I was like, her sister was super pissed, was very vocal about it. And I don't blame her. And that was my first experience into this crossover between the paranormal and true crime, where I was like, that's a really gross territory that I'm not comfortable going down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed. Is anybody in the chat, does anyone have any questions for anyone on the live before we say goodbye?
Yeah,
because we're probably ending soon.
Yeah, it's 9:30. We've been here for a little while now.
The sun is setting into my face.
The sun is setting. Yes.
Yeah.
You're getting a shadow. You're glowing, but
it's dark here. So.
Yeah, it's nighttime here. Well, if no one does have any final questions, I guess what everyone probably wants to know is where listeners can find you and connect with you online.
Yeah, so I'm pretty effing spooky on all platforms. I'm on Instagram most, and I post videos, evidence, everything there. I'm also on YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook, all pretty effing spooky.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Perfect.
I'm going to follow you on TikTok because that's my favorite thing to do now is sit in bed and scroll through there.
I've deleted TikTok like for the 4th time last week. So it's just, yeah, I love it. And then it just takes up space on my phone sometimes. So anyway.
It's a rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
I think that wraps up this episode of Paranormal. Thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us and taking the time and letting the sun set on your face. This has been fun. So thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.